This is a quick real-world example of drawing using GraphPad. And so what we're going to be drawing is a couple of window frames. So we'll drop in the image of what we're going to create. Now the first thing we want to do is we want to actually set the scale, and you can't really see it right now, but we see that we've got 1 foot, but we've got 10 divisions, right? So if we want it to snap to an inch, then we want to slide this over and have it grid divisions to be 12. And now when we draw a line or something, it's going to snap to inches. And we'll create the top portion of this. So we can create a circle, as we saw. We can actually move the endpoints around so you can see how that works. And then we can select it and then type in the actual radius. So we would just measure from one side. And say, for example, it's 14 inches to the top. We would just put that in. And we'd put that in incorrectly. Hang on 1 second. 14 inches, return. Okay. And we'll kind of zoom over here. Now let's say, for example, that it's 16 inches, or actually make it 18 inches, have 4 inches on each side to the top concentric circle. What we need to do is need to break it, and we can touch the circle with a point, and that'll actually break it. And then we can grab part of it, change its radius, and let's do this again if I can. And we're going to have 1 foot, and I guess we said 6 inches. Return. And now we can finish off the arcs, actually, sorry. Just wrap those on down and wrap this on down. Okay, so that's got the top portion of the arch. And now we can actually just create our legs, and so we'd measure from this point down. And again, we could actually just type in the actual dimension by just going into here and just typing it in. And just complete it on out. Same with the inside. We're not going to put in the dimensions, it's just we would just type those in. And now for the interior details, we can draw a line across, grab that line, and now we can do a translation. And say, for example, it's 4 inches. We would just type into this field right here, to bring up our keyboard, type in 4 inches, return, specify we want to duplicate. We want to duplicate it down. I have to select the line, sorry. Duplicate, right, etc. Then for this centerpiece, we would just take a line. We do not have, go away, back up those 2 things. By the way, anytime you make a mistake, the best thing to do is just back it out. So to create the centerpiece, we don't have a line intersect with a circle, so we'll just get it as close as we can, and then we'll trim it up. But again, we would do offsets in the various directions, duplicate this way, and let's take that out, and let's say, for example, that's 2 inches. Okay. Duplicate, and then push it back in this direction. Duplicate. Okay. And we can actually kind of trim this up so it looks a little bit better just by going to points mode, grab those 3 points and just moving them down. Notice we still have snaps, so it actually brings it into adjustment. And then we would just go in and put our dimensions on where we need them. Let's see, we would want to do a point to line. Okay, gives us that dimension. We can go to lines, get the outside dimension, radius, etc. So that's one example. The other example is another window frame, and this window frame, we'll take a look at it. Let's kind of zoom in. It has a bit of a curve on the top of it. So we're going to do something a little more fancy this time. So let's delete the contents of this page. What we're going to do is we're going to use a transparent page. So we'll go to a page behind. We'll go ahead and place our drawing or our picture on the second page, right? We'll move it up there. So now we have something we actually can draw off of. We'll change the page parameters, and we'll say that we want to turn the grid off. We'll go to the next page, and what we'll do is we'll change it so it's transparent. So we'll go into background clear. Okay. So now we have 2 synced up pages that we can draw on. So to create this arch, and we'll say that this was actually perfectly taken so it's not had any angles to it. We'll just go into curves mode, and we're going to change the color of our curve, make it something orangish, right? And we have a mistake there. We can delete everything, right? So now we can see that this is actually just a curve of 2 points, Bezier curve, and it's got 2 endpoints and 2 control points. So we can manipulate that. Let's kind of zoom in a little bit, make sure we can see it, and turn this point off. We really want it to be horizontal at the top, right? So when you get to the top of the arc, it's going to be tangential. And then the end, we'll just line that up so it makes kind of sense in terms of our arc. And what we want to do is we want to move, and we'll move both of these at the same time. We'll move these over to it's about the center point. And of course you would be measuring these details, right? So you'd get actual measurements to get this in there, but this just shows you how to use the drawing algorithm. Now we're going to want this to be perfectly symmetrical, right? So once we get our shape in there, and you probably only want to have a single quadratic curve that actually represents the top of this, then what we can do is we can actually just go and we can create our exterior portions. But we want to do just half of this. Okay, so from our picture, and I'm not drawing this exactly properly, we're going to have an interior curve as well, right? So what we'll do there is we'll go into lines mode, we'll select this line, and we're going to translate a duplicate straight down, and we'll take a guess. So we'll just say 2 inches just for right now. And then we would actually take that line and manipulate it. So let's get rid of these other lines for right now. Excuse me. Get rid of that guy, get rid of this guy. And we'll line this up perfectly. Turn the points that we're not interested in moving around off, right? And now we can actually set this up. We still have our guidelines, which are helping us line things up nicely. Now, we want a gap over here, right? So what we really want to do is we would go down, we'll just, for example, say, right, so we want this endpoint to line up with this other portion. And we're going to use our selection area. We'll turn everything off, grab the 2 points that we want to move, and then move those until they're in alignment. And we're going to have to tweak this in order to get it so it's parallel the way we expect it to be. But you can see how you're actually doing this drawing. And then we'll go ahead and connect these lines up. Okay. And I guess that was supposed to go a little bit further down. Let's see, get rid of this line. And we'll just drag, whoops, missed it. Drag, kind of tough. Let's do it this way. Drag this down to the end of our frame. Come across to where it's lined up with the endpoints, and actually looking at this lined up, okay, like that, right? Kind of go up. Kind of go across. Okay, delete this line, go up, and we drop in our dimensions, etc. Once we have half and we've got it lined out the way we want, we can actually just grab that. We're going to turn it into a group first, and then we're going to copy it and paste it. The reason why we turn it into a group is now we can actually reverse the group. Go into Properties, reverse the group, and now we have the other half of it, and we can just align that up. Now again, I'm doing this very quickly, but you can see you can actually make this fairly accurate. And of course I'm not actually doing it to scale either, but you would set that as well. But that gives you the general gist of it. When you drop your dimensions on, you can actually leave the picture there, or you can go to settings and you actually turn the background to opaque. You can hit a button, and now you just see the outline. Go back and change the color of the lines. We'll just do a few of these guys. Actually, might as well just do most of them real quick. Right, I think that's all of them. Just change the color, and we missed that, but we can go back. Black, return. Right. See the outline, drop our dimensions on, etc. Come back. There we go. Doing things too fast here. And that gives you the general gist of how you actually draw with this tool. So it's not a conventional CAD system, it's kind of its own thing, but you can see you've got a lot of capability, and once you get familiar with it, you can actually draw very quickly. You can draw while you're talking to somebody, and you can actually do a very accurate dimensional drawing this way. Thank you very much.